Hey guys, it's me again, Uxler What Ifs. Where I last left off is, well, this is a new Bell What If, to give people a break from what if Deku was a fallen. Because I kind of noticed, maybe it's just me, but not a lot of people are, since I have like 300, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do like it, because I've heard some of you tell me you like it, and I will do it, until, like I said to one guy, as long as Destiny goes, I will keep doing it. So, I digress. But what will happen now is that this will be what if Bell was a gladiator. I've had this inside my mind since, I believe it was a guy called Lazy Whatiffer said, if you want me to, do a Bell what if, tell me, and I put it down, but... Or was it Kid Zeus? One of the two. I've been watching them a bit. But as I digress, I've been running it through my head a couple times, and I think I have an idea. So, I will start off with Bell and his family living peacefully. Again. So, let's see. What will be happening is that Bell and his family will be living peacefully, just having an average life. His father will be, I don't know, something normal, I'll say he's actually a farmer. His mother takes care of everything. He has two younger siblings. Two younger sisters. And what will be happening is that what will happen is that, one day Bell and his siblings and all of their friends are running around, doing what kids would normally do. Bell, at this point, I'll say is 9-10 years old. So, again, like in the, Artorias series, I'll be aging him up a bit. What will happen to him is that, what he'll do, what I'm not sure, because I am not raised on a farm, or never have been, or have done actually any farm work. But I wouldn't mind doing it. It sounds like a nice way to live. But as I continue forward, he'll be helping his father and such tend to the fields and such, like I said he does. And what if Bell had the ability to take souls? He'll go along and help his family and such, help his father with his chores throughout the day. His two little sisters will help their mother with their things. And I'll say the sisters are about 9 years old, so they can help. As they get done, Bell's cleared to go play with his friends, and they go running around. Bell and them have fun and such, and I'll say Bell is actually known for, Bell's gonna be a bit more headstrong in this. He's sort of not a bully, but the tough kid of the group. And I'll say he's actually kind of big for his age. So, yeah. So when this is happening, a couple of the kids from a neighboring village come by, and they all get into a little scuffle. The sisters don't. They're just saying, go on, Bill, kick him in the butt. And the names for his sisters will be Rose Kernell and... I saw a guy post IKEA. I-K-E-A, which, if I'm wrong, please tell me so. IKEA. Seer. I'll name Rose Crenell for now, like I did in the last What If Bell. And you guys tell me another name for his second sister. So as they continue forward, they're all in a fight. Then eventually the parents come over what are you doing? And then the kids scatter. Scatter! Bell and the other boys start running off back to their village. The other boys run off to theirs. The farmer's oh, dang it, it's the boys again, get them! After they start chasing after here, don't say they were actually running around a farmer's patch. Bell tried to get everyone out of there because he kind of realized that, farmers need their vegetables, and if they're being trampled and such, they won't make very good selling value. So After that happens, they all start running. They manage to get out. Belle says, "Run, run, Rose, run!" Like, just shouts for his two sisters to run home. They're like, "We're trying, but I don't know what, like, little children wore." I'll just say Belle wears, like, a little pants and such, and the sisters wear, like, little dresses. He's like, "Run!" They're like, "We can't!" Like, just run fast. As they are all running, they manage to get away. They're like, Belle comes home, like, all dirty with a few, like, little scrapes and bruises, and his sisters are just kind of dirty. He's like, "Belle, what'd you get into?" He's like, nothing, and the mother's like, "What happened to your dresses?" As they, like, wipe them off and such. And I'll say they have their own gods. This is like a neutral village. They don't belong to any sort of empire or kingdom. So what happens one day is that Belle has this life routine till he grows to like 15. And he's quite big, like I said. He's about as tall as his father. His father's like a big guy. I'll say he's like 6'1". So by 16, he's 6'1", about the same size as his father. And a lot of the, like, and the mother, like, takes note of this, like, you're a grown lad. And he helps his father with more jobs. In fact, I'll say after helping his father, and since his father has Belle helping him a lot more, Belle can do a lot more, and they get their jobs done quickly tending the fields. After that's done, Belle will actually help other farmers around the area, like, for instance, he'll help wrestle cattle to the ground and such, wrestle cows and such to the ground, so that way, I don't know what they would do for cows and such, but certain cows that need to be, like, wrestled to the ground for things to be done, or whatever, like branding, or whatever. He'll help with the sheep and such. He's essentially like a pro farmer, and everyone thanks him, and he is, like, getting pretty built, because I'm not sure how hard it is to wrestle a cow, but I know they can throw people around quite a bit. And one day, actually, he's helping the farmer, and the farmer's daughter is actually talking, and then, like, a bull, like, she gets separated, a bull starts charging, the Belle says, "Watch out," and he rushes forward. Now, as the Belle's about to slam into the daughter, he pushes her out of the way and just grabs onto the bull's horn, and, like, forcing him, as he's getting pushed back, like, into the dirt. And as he gets him to stop, he sort of just, like, twists his body a bit to, like, get the bull to lose balance and sends it tumbling. As Belle goes over and, puts it in a headlock and gets it to calm down, he's like, shouts to the farmer's daughter, he's like, "Are you okay?" As he's, like, having this bull in a headlock that's trying to toss him around and, like, get out of this headlock, but he just keeps the pressure up until the bull finally, like, calms down, like, just collapses. He's like, "Alright, good," as he, like, steps away, like, really quickly, never taking his eyes off it, but he's always staring at it, but calling back to the daughter. The farm's like, "She's alright," and he actually, after Belle gets to a safe distance and looks away, the bull doesn't do anything. It actually runs off a little bit. He comes back to the farmer and checks on the daughter, saying, "Are you okay? What did you do to make the bull so angry?" She's like, "I don't know, it just charged." He's like, "Well, I hope you're alright." He's like, "Your dress is all dirty. I'm sorry I had to shove you." She's like, No, it's alright, it's alright." Belle's like, "Well, that's gonna be all today, Miss Farmer Jenkins." Yes, typical name, Farmer Jenkins. And as he walks and, like, dusts himself off, he's bigger than the farmer, and dusts himself off and walks away. As he goes to his next thing, which is to help the sheep farmer, like, herd the sheep and such. He helps herd the sheep and such. Like I said, he helps herd the sheep and such. And after doing that, he's got like a few cuts after like being pushed around and having to wrestle the bull, and a few bruises. So he talks with the sheep owners like, "Oh my god, what happened? You smell so bad." It smells like it looks like you got into a fight with bull. He's like, "I kind of did, actually." And he explains the story. He's like, "Oh, well, good job on you. Well, shall we tend to sheep?" He's like, "I'll go ahead and go gather the flock." And he uses like because he does have to defend the flock every now and then from wolves. So he has like, and his stick is more like a giant axe. It like has an end, like a sharp end to it, like a spear. And he just guides them like, hey, like puts them with the wooden end. And when a wolf tries to come out, he actually raises up and throws it like a javelin, like impaling the wolf. The wolf's howling in pain. The sheep run off. He's like, Farmer Bob, sorry sir, but give me a second. As he walks over to the wolf and kneels down, the wolf is just like howling, like in deep pain. Belle can see it in its eyes and that it knows it's dead. So he takes out his pocket knife and says, "Sorry, wolf. Sorry, little pup, but this flock was not meant to be touched. And it's my duty to look over it." So as he gets it comfortable, then just Mercy kills it. This reminds me of Clementine. Dang it. But he continues forward. He's like, "Sorry, wolf." And he will actually eat the wolf. Like, he takes it home. And I'll say he also helps with killing animals and such. So he knows how to butcher them and such. So he takes the fur and such. And he takes the wolf home and eats it. Like, that's what his mother says, "I made dinner." He's like, "I'm sorry, but I already have food." After they ask what it is, he's like, "I had to kill a wolf to protect Farmer Bob's flock. That's what I'll be eating." So after he like gets it all done and such, skins it, he even uses everything. Now, I'm not sure, but I've only played Minecraft, and I don't know if bone meal actually exists. But I'll say it does, and he like gives the bones to his father to use for the fields. He eats the meat, takes the skull, and uses the fur to make like a nice... This was a pretty decent sized wolf, I would say. And he uses the wolf's thing to make like a headdress sort of thing. Uses it for like a headdress, or like one of those things that come over somebody's arm. That's what he uses it for. So as he gets done with that, he walks around helping the farmers with their jobs for about a year or two, and he's grown about to 6'8", bigger than any man in the village. Much bigger. And I'll say he's about 18, like make that 2 years. And after like a few more incidents with the bulls and the flock, protecting the flock, like one night, and he's like, during one winter, the farmer Bob became ill, and the other farmers like felt bad because his flock would die. So he talked with his father, and the father says he could handle the thing, and and Deku says if he can, he will help Farmer Bob a lot more, since Farmer Bob has fallen ill and has, I'll say, gotten an injury as well. He like broke a leg. So as Belle tends to Farmer Bob's flock and such, he like keeps it safe, keeps it herded into like safe places during like the winter. Like, this is during winter. It's like the worst time for someone to like break a leg. So he takes care of the flock, keeping all sorts of animals. And he's actually had a few more like an entire wolf pack on one point with a couple wolves. So Belle herds the sheep into a safe place and takes up a frontal position, like ready to meet any wolves that would come and try and attack the flock. He was jumped on by 2 wolves at once. He grabs one, throws it away. The other he knocks down and stabs it through. He's already injured. He's got a couple bite marks. He's like, "Come on!" as he roars. And as it comes forward, it lunges again, biting him in the leg, taking his staff and hitting it in the head. And as it's on thing, he steps on the neck. Now for the final 2 wolves, these are the, like, one of them's a pretty big wolf. As the other one comes by, it jumps toward Bell, impales it, then tosses it on the ground. The giant wolf, he loses hold of his staff, so he's fighting the melee, punching and kneeing, while this wolf is biting and clawing. Bell eventually, like, grabs into a headlock and goes whoosh, snapping the neck. After this, Bell, like, took up his positions again and just waited. The flock was safe, and winter, is said, was apparently supposed to be done by the next day. As he stood there bleeding, thankfully to the cold, the blood sort of sealed itself more quickly and such. As he went into the herd a bit to get some more, he was kept warm and such from the winter. And as like his father, and actually Farmer Bob is ready to go. He can go out and deal with his flock now. As they come over, they see Bell still taking the wolves with bite marks and such. They stopped bleeding a little while ago. And he has bite marks in his clothing and such. And claw marks. And he's even gotten like a claw mark all over his like lips and such. All over his face. And they're like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" He's like, "I'm fine." But several wolves came and attacked. So as he's like, "Now if you must excuse me," he takes up the wolves bodies and takes them to home so he can butcher them. He's made an entire fur suit, like fur clothing and such, to use for the winter. And actually, for that giant wolf, he's made a blanket. Well, had commissioned for it to be made into a blanket. So now, as he returns to help his father with the farming and such, tragedy strikes. Also, his sisters, his father and mother, because it's like, I believe it's 16 when daughters are like supposedly get to marry, something along those lines. They found like suitable, quote unquote, husbands. And they sort of talk with their families about arranging the marriage. And Farmer Jenkins talks with Belle's father about marrying Belle to his daughter. And the daughter has no qualms with this. But before details can get hammered out, that's where tragedy strikes. One day when the family and them are all like discussing this and about the marriage but beheld, a raiding party comes out of nowhere from a empire that quite likes their slaves. So as they claim the territory and start slapping on slave collars, they're like, "You can't do this." Any who resisted were cut down. Some families were separated. Children were separated very quickly from their parents, because children who are slaves can be groomed more effectively and such. The only ones who really took up arms were like Belle. Like his like little group of friends, like they still like fought a bit with other people, but not as much because they had their own chores and duties to attend to. So as Belle when they came to like a couple of warriors and such came to try to take the 2 daughters, Belle's father pushed them away. They cut them down. Belle, next to him were 2 axes. Yes, he'll be this gladiator. I am happy. Sort of throws the first axe, hitting one of the first guys in the head. As they see that, like, the woman leading this raid to capture slaves sees this, looks over and is like, go deal with that. And as, like, this other guy is quickly dispatched, Bell, like, steps on his head, crushing the armor. He grabs the other axe and goes, like, come on! And charges forward. Bell's other friends were actually cut down. He saw this happen in front of his very eyes. So, with his rage activated, Bell rushes forward. And I'll say he's actually wearing the wolf headdress. And just starts slashing through them. So then the female raider or female slaver comes walking over and forces and sort of fights Bell. She's actually surprised on how skilled he is. Well, not skilled, but how powerful he is. He's not very skilled, but she's sort of like using her sword to block, parry, and then finally, like, as he like does like another swipe, he swings one axe, like, and she parries again, but he follows this up immediately with an axe and actually catches her off guard, slicing her face. Like, oh! I'll say she's one of those ones who are, like, obsessed with her beauty, so she feels the blood and actually looks into a thing that has a reflection. She's angry right now. So as she dismantles Bell immediately, then, like, as payback, she slices right at the same, like, slices 3 times across his face. She doesn't blind him, because she isn't blinded, but it's roughly the same thing. She's like, and some of the men are ready to execute Bell, but she's like, no, this one will make a decent one in the fight pits. So as he's like, instead of just like a normal thing, like the others quickly complied after they saw Bell go down. They quickly complied, and Bell wasn't just simple bindings, he was clapped in irons and sort of dragged. Instead of being able to walk, he was dragged by one of the horses. Ugh. Or one of the carriages. As he's being dragged, he wakes up like, ugh. They've tended to his wounds on his face, so that way he just doesn't get infected and such. So as he like goes to stand up, he realizes he's moving. So as he like goes and starts walking very quickly, they hear, hey, he's up. She's like, speed up. As you're like, yes, mom. As they speed up, he has to run and run. He's like having to run now, like, after running for about 2 hours, she's like, he's barely standing as it is. So as it comes down to it, he's like, he like not collapses, but trips and starts being dragged along again. She's like, alright, put him up here. Put him up. As that's happening, he's like, you're gonna be welcoming into a new home. Who are you? He like lunges, he sort of like, his chain is very cut short now that he's up there. As he goes to move forward, she's like, and I'll say he actually has one of his sisters in a different car. And she could tell immediately that those were his siblings, because there's a resemblance, I'll say, with the white and red hair. So as he's wanting to do something, she's like, talks to one of her men, says, if he tries anything, kill his sister. God. Man. So as this is said, he immediately calms down and just sits there quietly. Now, ain't that a good pet? You're gonna be enjoying the pets. Maybe you'll even get win your freedom one day, but no one ever has that happen. So as she rides off and such, as she rides off to ahead of the caravan, he just sits there asking how many got out, and they all say no one did. Everyone's been taken as a slave. So as Bell's like, ugh. So he's just having to sit there. And I'll say it's been like another year or so. I'm pretty sure is what I said. That whole wolf thing, like winter thing, happened between those years, so I'll say it's another winter thing. He still has his wolf pelt in them on, so he's not freezing. Some of the other ones are huddling together for warmth because they aren't provided anything to stay warm. Some of them are the more valuable, quote-unquote, ones. If you know what I mean, because it's a slaving army. Of course they're going to have that stuff. The sick monsters. But as I continue forward, as Belle and them have their whole thing sorted out, they all get separated. Like, when they start getting closer to their destination, the women such are sent to different things, along with some of the men. And Deku is like one of the only ones are among 5 that are being sent to the pits. So as they get there one day, they get their collars, slave collars put on. Now, I'll say there's a magic on them that says if they try to remove them in any sort of way, it will kill them. Like electric shock. Similar to the ones in, How to Be a Hero? The Shield Hero? I forget what the thing is. I think it's How to Be a Shield Hero. Something like that. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But continues forward, and the female raider or slaver actually fetches a decent price. Because I'll say these people have like a grand gladiatorial arena, but there's also smaller fight pits. And the people who fight in the gladiatorial arena fight pits before they reach there. And it takes years to get there. So as Belle gets there, it's like 2 months in after getting settled in and outfitted with the slave collar, he gets sent in. He still has his wolf thing on, but he actually has armor and such this time. The picture I put up will probably be similar, so he has a helmet, armor on the body, and everything. It's very light, and he doesn't have armor on everything. But, yeah. So as they continue forward with their lives, Belle takes up 2 axes and moves forward. This will be more like a group battle. Instead of just a one-on-one, it will be a group battle. 5v5. Well, I'll say it's a 4-way fight. So 5 versus 5 versus 5 versus 5. As they get ready, Belle takes, I guess, control, quote-unquote, of the situation, saying, we should probably stick together. We should probably target for the weakest looking one first. And they say it's probably Blue. So, let's go straight for Blue. And it's like, are you ready? Fight! As that runs, they rush off to go fight Blue. But it's like, Yellow's coming fast. It's like, oh, fine. We fight Yellow first. As they rush in, they immediately get into melee. Belle's monstrous size immediately comes in handy, and he immediately takes his axe, swings down, and instantly crushes through a guy's guard and cuts through him immediately. Belle's killed a person before, and he's killed animals. One same. So as Belle's like helping his like troops and such, one of them goes down, but Belle immediately takes the guy who killed him, swings him down, and then uses his axe. Like swings 2 of them, then just swings. After killing that guy, they finish off the rest. Blue team and green team immediately are fighting for a prolonged period of time. Belle still has 4 men. So he's like, alright, go, charge! As, a majority, quite a few of the green and blue team kill each other. I believe I said it was blue. But Belle's crew immediately runs in and just quickly annihilates them. They're like, "Oh, it's a slaughter, folks." As this is said, they're like, "Behold, red team, you're victors." As they're like, "Retreat, we'll go back to the holding, slaves." As that said, they quietly redo, but they grab their body of their fallen comrade along the way. And I'll say, yeah. Belle's like outfitted with basic armor and such. Actually, scratch that. I'll say he barely has any armor. Like, he has some arm guards and a shoulder guard, as well as like I guess you know those fur belt things that you would see a barbarian use in like fantasy and such. He has one of those. So they're like, all right. Oh, he takes a moment, because I'll say he's actually a quiet one. He like stays kind of quiet while in the pits. He's like taking it in and wondering how his siblings are doing. His sister Rose and, like I said, you'll have to name the other one, Rose Cornell. And they are quite fine. From their point of view, they're just being processed, quote unquote. God, I hate having to use that word for people, but as they get processed, they are sort of gone to an auction and such. And lucky for them, they are in the same place that Belle is at. They're like meant to, like, I guess in a way, ensure that the pit fighters have at the very least food and such. The prison guards, like, they're in like cells and such. And Rose actually comes across Belle just sitting down waiting. He doesn't have his weapons, he just has his armor. He's just sitting there, hands and just sort of, it looks like he's praying, but he's just lost in thought. He's like, Belle, it's me. He's like, sister, Rose, how's our sister and mother? She's like, it's fine, they're fine. We're all sent here to, like, make sure you guys get your food and such. And the guards are like, alright, what are you doing over there? Nothing, sir, just the slave was asking how it was going, sir. He's like, well, get back to your work. He's like, yes, sir. And she's like, I'll talk to you later. As she, like, goes around and, like, after delivering his food and such, it's just, like, bread and, like, water. And later, like, immediately after that, like, grab one of the prisoners. It's time to fight. What are they fighting? I'm curious. They're fighting a bear. Like, this is gonna be good. As they're like, hey, grab that one the slave girl was just talking to. It's like, yes. It's like, hey, you. And he's like, get up. As he, like, starts, like, doesn't budge. He's like, get up. It starts to do just, so he gets up. And he's like, what? It's like, you're in the fight. He's like, stands up and looks at him. You're gonna be fighting a bear. Hope you have fun. As he, like, unlocks the door, get moving. As this, like, hulking figure just walks. He doesn't have the wolf thing, I'll say, actually. He's been using it as a blanket. He's just had to use it as a blanket since it's the only way. And he'll actually wear it if he wants to. But right now, he is, I'll say. He's, like, turned it into, he's trying to make sure it doesn't get damaged and such. So it's like the headdress. So as he gets it on and such, he grabs his weapon. His 2 axes. It's like, choose your weapon, slave. As he, like, goes to reach for the 2 axes, he's like, oh, know what? You've been using those quite a bit. And just chooses, says, here, take this. As he gives him a big axe. Like a very big axe. He's like, fine. As he walks out there with his giant axe, he's like, oh. And, like, takes it into 2 hands. This bear is massive. Like, it's like, see, Belle's like 6'8", maybe, and this time he's grown to 6'12", 6'10". This thing's, like, if it was standing up, would be equal to, like, over 7-11 feet tall. So he sort of takes up a stance and, like, come on. He sort of, like, pounds his chest with his free arm, like, come on, you beast. Or just, like, roaring at it, like, come on. As it, like, charges forward, he charges forward as well. Like, as he does it, the bear goes to jump. He steps to the side and smashes it with his fist, sending the bear off balance and tumbling. He rushes forward, taking the axe and slamming it into the bear's side. Here's the thing, it doesn't go very deep. This weapon has not been sharpened. He's like, oh god. As he, like, has to, like, jump back before the bear, like, grabs him and actually claws him on, like, his chest. He's like, ah. As he looks up and takes a step backwards, he starts realizing that this thing isn't sharp at all. It barely cut through its skin. So he's, like, wondering about the tip. So he actually presses his hand against it, and it actually cuts very easily. So he's like, oh, so I'm gonna have to use a spear then. As he takes up, like, a position and charges forward. This time he doesn't turn when the bear rushes forward. He just simply takes it and slams it down into the bear's skull, going through the eye like... The bear is alive for a couple of seconds and is able to grab onto him and bite onto his arm. Like, Aah! As it, like, is about to rip it off, it just stops, then collapses. After, like, prying off its arm, he, like, grabs the axe and just rips it out and and sort of gives a roar like, hurrah! The crowd cheers and bets are made. Everyone was betting on the bear. Since he lived, well, there you go. Like, and go back to your cage, slave. As the bear's body is taken, well, our next challenge will be a team matchup 2v2. Blue team versus red team. As they're like the red team, he's like, good luck. He sort of says, good luck. As he, like, gives good luck, my friends. Or, not friends, but good luck. He's, like, a very quiet person, and he hasn't been around there long. He's like, thanks, man. Good luck to your next fight, too. As he puts the axe down, and says, he's like, oh, what? I can't believe he lived. Told you. He's like, how much you want? And before that, they're like, how much you want, bet? He figures out the axe is too dull, too late. He's like, well, I think from the first swing. He won't even get a swing off. That bear's gonna tear him limb from limb. And when they, like, place the bet, they're like, you owe me money. He's like, good job. You made me some money. Now get back to your cage. As he gets in, before they send him off, they actually get his, like, wounds looked at as he, like, is restrained, and sort of a slave that knows healing magic comes over as he's sitting there, and after the teeth are removed from the bear and such, his wounds aren't exactly healed all the way. They have some of the wounds stay open, and have the ones who enjoy, who are kind of sadistic, sew them up and such. Because, yeah, reasons. This is a very messed up empire. They're like the Dark Elves. God. And except there's a lot of them. They get done with that and just, he sent back to his pit, his little cage and such. And one day, one of the slave masters come looking and say, look at him and say, and I'll say he actually has a daughter with him, and say, hey, daddy, can I have his little cape is so cool. Can I have it? He's like, sure, sweetie. Gods, remove this slave's cloak, headdress. He does not deserve it. And he's like, sir, are you the owner of this slave? He's like, he's a slave of the pits, and I'm owner of the pits. Remove it from him at once. As the two guards, like, take a look at this, give us a minute, sir. As they return with 10 men. As they, like, sort of, now get out here and give up the thing. He, like, still just sits there. Come now. As that happens, he just finally gets up and just hands it over. And as it's like, Gray, grab a couple more pit fighters. They got another team matchup. He's like, grab. And the pit master's like, no, send him alone. And they're like, sir, but send him alone. If he dies, he has no need to worry about gaining his thing back. He's like, just growling and grunting. If you win 10 rounds, how about this? If you win 5 rounds in a row, single-handedly, I will have something made better of you. Made better for you. And I'll say he's been there for like 4 months. 4 or 5 months. Winning countless things. And he's become, sort of distinguished himself a bit with his 2 axes and his sheer size and ferocity. As well as switching to like a halberd. Because I kind of like halberds. Yeah. So as that's all taken care of, he goes up into the arena. Being set up against 3 massive fellows. They're like specific things like, oh, it seems we have an alteration, my friends. It will be instead of a 3-on-3 of giants, it will be a 3 of giants against the 1 of giants. The ferocity. Let's see who wins, a double axe wielding friend or the 3 hammers. Let's see how this goes. As they like all sit there like anticipating, Bell, not Deku, walks forward. And I'll say he's talked with his sister a bit more, saying that they're actually being treated quite well. Given places to sleep, decent living conditions. They're not like sleeping on the cold hard ground like Deku has to. And they're getting much better food. Because they're supposed to be presentable in a way. Because on the upside, it's like where, I guess, best way is like citizens and like nobles are supposed to come. So they're supposed to look presentable. While the ones in the pits are like can look however they want. So Bell grabs his 2 axes and walks up there like, and he's gaining a reputation of his own. And I believe I said he was 18 at this point. So, 6'10", 18. Yep. And before, like, he also asked, how is Farmer Jenkins' daughter doing? They're like, oh, she's doing quite well. She wanted to see how you were, and he's like, I'm doing quite right. And I'll say they actually do get to look at the, like, fights every now and then. And his family and his supposed-to-be wife were actually watching this next one. So they're, like, kind of worrying and actually praying in a way. So as they see him come out, he doesn't make any show of it. He just walks forward. And just gets low and gets ready with the 2 axes. Sort of limbering up. And they're like, on your mark. And then we got the 3 hammers versus the double axe. Let's see who wins. So, go! As the 3 guys come rushing at him. He dodges one and then slices his leg off. Like, as he, like, dodges, like, sort of, not dodges under. Actually, yeah, he, like, dodges completely under, at the same time swinging his axe, cutting off the dude's leg. He's like, oh, my leg, my leg. As the other 2 see this, like, the other 2 were wanting to take it slow. This guy just rushed head forward and got, as he's like screaming, my leg, my leg. Bell looks over and just smashes his axes down like 1, 2, 1, 2, and then brings them 2 at the ground. He's very brutal. So as this happens, he starts walking forward, sort of, I guess, twirling his axes a bit, like sort of just twirling in his hand. He's not like flipping them. He's just like moving them around to make it look like he was like wrists and such, smooth motion and such. So as he rushes forward, the other 2 come rushing as well. Swinging their hammers, Bell takes his axes, puts them down and just sort of bashes them away with his pure brute strength. These guys have been fighting, so they're muscular, but Deku's been working out and been wrestling bulls to the ground since he was like, what, 14? 15? So, yeah, he's much better built. So as he cuts, after the first one, he like throws the other one to the ground. After wrestling the other guy's hammer away from him in a sort of way, he like gets the guy into the side with one of his axes and grabs a hammer. He trips him, then takes the hammer, holding it upside down, and brings it down. Very brutal. Other people are cheering. His sisters are kind of not horrified, but they're in a way somewhat relieved that he's surviving. His soon-to-be wife is kind of frightened at the sight. Bell takes up his axe after like having to wrench it. He like goes to just simply pull it, but after he like realizes it quite stuck, he gets down, steps in the muddy, and has to like rip it out, sending a spray of blood. The next brother's enraged, so he comes at him swinging, and he actually manages to catch Bell off guard, so he gets hit in the arm. But thankfully, this is the arm that had the shoulder pad on it, so it takes a force being seriously dented inwards, though. And Bell was just barely able to dodge it from hitting his head. So as he swings down, and these axes kind of have that thing that would be used to pull down shields. If you didn't know, like axes that had like that very big pronounced curved, instead of just having the axe, that's what it was, is that it was used to like hook onto shields, I'm pretty sure, and then you'd like pull it down and take out a knife to stab them. So as that happens, Bell pulls down the hammer. Pulls down the, like, wrenches the hammer away, and then, like, gets him into the side. And then with the 2 axes, he does that as he, like, falls down, like, screaming, like, ah! He takes the other thing and does the same thing, but on the top of his body, like, woof, sort of like hooks, and then just wrenches his his axes free, sending a spray. The people are eating this up. He's like, as he starts walking back to his thing. He doesn't like to bask in this glory. And he's like, there you go, people. Dual axe versus the 3 hammers. Now, let's see. Next up, we have... Well, actually, today, folks, that was the finale. Come back tomorrow. So as that's done, he gets down after putting his axes away and taking off his shoulder pad and throwing it to the armor, to a pile of armor that's just dented inwards and such that needs to be repaired. It's like, you want me some more money again? Good job, double axe or dual axe. Soon enough, I may actually be able to afford a nice dinner. Well, I shall be able to afford quite a nice little treat for myself. If you keep making this, I'll treat you a bit too. Grumbles and just goes back to his cell after being escorted. Now, I'll mention this, he's always escorted in chains by like 4 dudes with swords and such, ready to kill him. So as he gets in there late at night when they're getting their regular food, since Belle actually impressed quite a lot, he actually gets a special dinner, which instead of just bread and water, it's actually some meat. He's like, meat? As he looks up, he sees his wife, or somewhat wife. It's weird. I guess the best term to describe it is fiance. He's like, he's like so happy. He's like, did you see what happened earlier? She's like, yes, I saw. And he like kind of looks ashamed. Well, he doesn't say anything, but she says she saw earlier, and kind of looks the same. She's like, puts her hand through the soul and says, okay, I understand why. This doesn't change anything. He's like, sort of sighs in relief, and before they continue forward, he's like, hey, what are you doing? This slave was asking why he got some, meat. Oh, that's why I said, you've been winning me some good money, double axe. Keep it up and I'll ensure you receive more. It's just like a nod, and he goes back to sitting down and just eats his meat in peace. Now get back to passing the rest of the food to these maggots and such, and that'll be Belle's life for a little while. This has gone on for a pretty decently long time. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.